That's the greatest learning.
Absolutely genius level, Ramesh. This is called genius level. We should not be confused with the existing knowings and images and general knowledge about genius. Genius, the term genius means the attendant spirit. So, whatsoever you explained, whatsoever you pointed out, of course, it is only a part of what you have really undergone, no doubt about that. But that is absolutely an evidence of the level of spirit with which you can do the doing of knowing, with which you can do the doing of doing, with which you translate your knowing and doing into the being. That's all. That's all about it. And ultimately, you have made that in point number 9, the largest of the type. So that itself shows how convinced you are about that particular point, happy with the self. And that is the mark of the genius. This is what is normally called in the popular language, so-called Anandamayam. They are all, let us say, I would say, to a great extent, the uneducated, illiterate people. So when they get this feeling, they use available words like Anandamayam, blissful, and things like that. That's all. Happy with the self. Wonderful and very, very creative and very original. Like you pointed out in that symbol diagram, a brilliant tree with brilliant branches and brilliant blooming. Ramesh, I feel so thrilled to see this.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. And I would also want to take this opportunity to thank every single individual in this program. So everyone have made a bit of a dent in me. So I've learned a lot from each of you. And I wouldn't want to call this a transformation. This is not a transformation journey at all. But it's a journey in getting peace. It's a journey in getting in terms with myself. It's a journey in I'm not getting words, but thanks to every individual, and I've learned a lot from everyone. Every sessions, even though lots of sessions I go a bit blank, but little bit whenever I listen, I learned a lot.
All right. Wonderful.
Can I say something, sir?
Yeah.
So I had sent you a photograph today morning, sir, when I had biked in last year, same day to Coimbatore. So similarly, today I was actually most of the day on a bike, but it was across Bangalore to meet an old friend of mine who was who we connected through when he started writing songs for me. So he's right now in the UK. We met after about, I think, 8 years now. Coming back again at the destination here, you could say theoretically a whole day across Bangalore makes you so tired, but coming in, starting off, and Ramesh takes off, and then it's like, okay, I don't mind getting on the bike and riding once again, maybe to Coimbatore. That degree of energy is what you brought in through. I was reminded of a case like, generally, if you look at so many people, we all maybe come from different levels of competencies, competitiveness, etc. But in these sessions, especially today, it is like we are part of an orchestra. And when a virtuoso is playing his or her instrument, you're so happy, you enjoy it, and you don't want it to stop. And that's my feeling from the heart, sir. Now, coming down to the head part of it, a few things what I just noted down. One was that your energy personified, and that has carried on from the beginning to the end. And everybody's sitting enthralled, nobody's speaking. Maybe some of us are just like typing away or taking notes down. And I like the way you started off, like sir was saying, a creative presenter. The palette was there, and in the top, like you have these small tags which go through. You told the basic script of the story, and then it evolved on and on and on. You've taken self-reflection to I would say, a very mastery level, to a level it's so comfortable that you're truthful. You're talking about all the ongs all the aspects, fears, uncertainties, turbulences, and then you are the analogy of a cyclone, and then bringing it all to the center of the eye of the hurricane, that calmness, that is like visualizing all of this into a level. Then internalizing all of these sessions and applying that through, and very furiously taking the self-evaluation and learning to, I think, to a amazing level. That is one thing which is I just have to call out as an end. That was all, sir and Ramesh.
Definitely, I completely agree with the observations of Tintin, no doubt. And much more, as said, the showing the absolute mastery over showing, presenting the ideas. That itself is wonderful. How you could organize all these materials into such a compact format is wonderful, Ramesh.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Thank you, Tintin ji. Thank you, sir. But more than me organizing this, sir, it's all delivered by you, sir. So it's delivered by you, but yeah. So it's
No.
what you are delivered is what.
This itself is a great work. This is almost like a book. I wonder, this how many slides? 15, right? Yeah.
Yes, about 15 to yeah,
Every
about
one of these,
28.
every one of these slides is a wonderful work of art itself, by its conceptual configuration, by its sequencing, by the so-called design and setting, and the process by which you explain to them. That's marvelous.
Thank you, sir.
Oh,
Maybe.
mm.
Can I say something, sir?
Your feedback, Nitya, of course, good. Yeah.
Yes. I just want to say that this is a real genius presentation. More than that, you are showing us what is possible. I'm just looking at each slide and just sitting here in wonder. I actually showed it to my family also, like with the hurricane and everything. My older son is here, so he's into films. He had actually studied films, so I just showed him like how, from a designer's perspective, the world looked like, and every slide and every point that you mentioned, it comes from a 100% genuine, and and the way you present is so humble. After doing all of this, I really appreciate it so much, Ramesh. And in the first slide, you mentioned that it is 5% of your time, and I never thought how much time we are spending. But more than that 5%, you have spent much more time reflecting on these ideas, and if you that is quite visible in the way that you conceptualize all of this. So much to learn from you, and every time it is like it is really magical. I don't know how to express, but
You have
so
expressed you have expressed very beautifully, in very good sentences, in very precise language. You talked, Nitya.
thank you, sir.
You have done that. So
Thank
just,
you, Nitya ji. So it's always been you have been a big inspiration, Nitya ji, in terms of. So when I was doing this presentation, I was looking through your notes and so on. So I was seeing a pattern emerging, but I didn't want the pattern to be really very evident. But I was able to see through a pattern.
Yeah, we are with every presentation or every session, we are becoming more clearer to what we ourselves understand, and you give those wings to those understanding much better than what I read, or like I just I'm simply sitting in amazement.
That's also a beautiful statement. You are giving wings to our understanding. Good poetry.
Yeah, that's
You have
to
been
add to that,
you have been writing poetry. Now you are talking poetry. Good.
just to add to that, Nityaji, it's
Yeah.
different palettes. So Ramesh painted a picture with masterful design. You were doing
Yes.
that with poetry. So different ways of expression. Everything centered around the same
Yeah,
concept.
it is so inspiring. Like even your routine that you explained, you get up at 3:30 in the morning, and doing yoga, and your involvement with the temple architecture and the school activities, and how you relate with your family. All that, those are manifestations of how you have evolved through this journey, or even in even otherwise, as a genius. So really wonderful. Thank you. I don't want to extend so much, but yeah, expressing my wonder here. Thank you.
Ramesh, just slowly go back in the slides. Don't talk anything. Just slowly. About 30-second pause on every slide. Just go back.
From first, from first I'll do.
Yeah.
That's growing. That's hidden behind black.
So just for a second, um, this slide, choosing this hurricane to explain your journey, um, it also, I was thinking that we are taking this journey to get back to our originality. Although we started with the calm in the middle, we have gone away to certain extent in our life sometimes, and then now with these learnings, we are trying to go back to see our originality. So that's the uh, path I saw when I saw this hurricane.
So in a way, it is the normally it is the calm before the storm, but it is the calm after the storm here.
Yes, yes,
So that center, the eye of the storm, is where it's completely calm.
yes.
So, so third session is allowing us to go through this complete thing to go towards that centerness.
Yes, we have experienced some hurricanes in here, and I know exactly how it feels like after all the rains and everything. Suddenly, for an hour or two, you will see the blue skies, and there is nothing. There's not even a sign of anything, and then the hurricane comes back, and then the remaining in the opposite direction it comes back.
Hmm.
So it was very correlatable to our experience.
So this is the first part.
So here I have a doubt, Rameshji. I was wondering if the being should be at the roots. I was just wondering.
Mm-hmm.
First the being happens, then the knowing. No? So I was wondering whether it should be that way.
Okay.
I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
What was your question, Veena?
The being should be in the place of knowing. First the roots. Even in the banyan tree we pray the temples. It is the root is the Brahma. The Muledo Brahma Rupaya. The origin is at the roots. So being should be at the roots. I feel.
Being can be in the root from a different perspective. From an
Yeah.
organic perspective, of course, being is the root.
Okay.
Being is the ground where all construction happens, agree.
Yeah.
But the discovery of the being, discovery of that, as you mentioned, that happiness of the being, that started with the roots of knowing. That's the, as I mentioned in the beginning, that is the maybe the tragedy or the comedy of the human being. Without knowing, nothing is possible. Without knowing, a child cannot even lift a spoon properly. So, for the human being, so-called human being, human entity, it all begins with knowing. Knowing is the root. Knowing, including who is the father, who is the mother, where is my house, where is food, what kind of food, when to eat, when not to eat, A, B, C, D, Jack and Jill, all the knowledges. From that only the being evolves. In the case of evolution. But when you talk about the organic reality of existence, of course, being is the ground. All right,
Okay.
Veena.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. Finally, as you mentioned, finally all this happens. Finally, this whole tree of the entity developed out of such a hard work and hard meditation. Finally, it will come back to the roots, and at that time, as you mentioned, you will come across the being. Yes, the tree will turn upside down.
Upside down. Yeah. Yeah.
That also, yeah. All right.
Yeah. I wanted to ask, what is the meaning of Sama Sanjanam?
Sama Sanjanam. Yeah, explain. Sama. Yeah, yeah, explain it, Miss.
So it is to connect. It's connect, join, combine, unity. So that is in Sanskrit the wordings are based on context. The meaning comes based on context. So you cannot associate this with one particular a meaning, but it's based on context. It takes different meanings. So it's to do with connectedness, connecting the dots. So why my initial slide also I put it together, because I always any activity I try to do this direct connection, indirect connections, and get into the insights, but connecting the dots. So and when I started this so when the sir was telling about uh, document the learnings. so much amount of learnings. How am I going to make the document all these things? Is where I was trying to connect the dots from multiple perspectives, and that's where I also put this Samasanjanam to the main.
It also means what last time Chandrasekhar pointed out, sama meaning equalize, equilibrium. Yeah. Like Samegrida Aharam, that means balanced diet, something like that. Sama meaning to equalize, to normalize, to recalibrate into uniformity. That is the root meaning of the word sama. To make it equal, samam. In Malayalam you say.
Yeah.
You put that equal to sign. Sama in translated into mathematical language, sama meaning that equal to sign.
Mm.
Okay. Sanjanam. Sanjanam also means to originate, to develop. Whatever is originated by, whatever is formed out of something else. So Sanjanam, that means that is formed out of many other things. So many random things are happening here and there, and they all will be inspected, analyzed, and reshaped, and kind of evolved, and they all will be put in their form together, make it equal. That is called Samasanjanam. Like you make avial, you make a different and put it in equal quantities. There is a remainder of whatever mathinga, remainder of pavika, remainder of potato, all these things are there. Whatever is cut out, and they are all shaped in a more or less uniform piece so that the avial is formed.
Yes.
So Sanjanam, but this potato and all these things are formed in different contexts. They are all collected from different contexts. They are all sitting in different pockets of the kitchen. So you bring pieces of that and you make it samam, equal to, in the context of making avial. Here it is in the context of making a tree coming in its full entalaki, or the full format, or the full blooming. In that full blooming, in that preparation of the dish of your entity, that avial of your being, you bring in all kinds of things. And you take whatever is required, and you, like that Ramesh also mentioned, he might listen to a lot of things, but he takes what exactly required for him. Okay, so you take whatever is required and you make a more or less compatible, equally compatible, correlatable mixture of it, and that becomes the root of your growth as a tree, because your tree requires that Samasanjana. Now, if you look at the previous presentation, Nitya made a presentation of her learning that was in a different tangent, and that was in tune with her perspective, her ideologies, her mindsets, her originality, her creativity. Here we see the difference of Ramesh. That is his tendency, his thinking, his perception, his attention, his conceptualization, and so on and so forth. That is precisely genius himself. It is not about every one of you. Sorry, all of you come to a common understanding. So every one of you should have the daring, should have the freedom to come to your own tree in your own way. But as Ramesh did, achieve that completeness in your presentation also, in your dialoguing also, in everything that you do as much as possible. That's all. All right, go to the next place and finish it off, Ramesh. This is a wonderful thing that Ramesh is doing. I think I have also read a lot of research on education. Some 20 years back, I did a lot of research on education. That's why I spent a lot of time on training the school children in education. There is a countless number of papers on education. But I think this is something really, really unique. Really unique. Work on it, Ramesh, and at least publish a small booklet and send it across to even to the NCERT as well as to some schools. Okay, this is a great initiative, because the nation building, great society can be built only by proper education, as you are showing it here. The same physics and chemistry can be taught, let us say, but there should be a different orientation, different attitude, different mindset of the teachers to provide a little bit of different things at least at the end of every session. 5 minutes every day. So that 5 minutes every day of every teacher can be prepared, can be designed from this framework. Ramesh, wonderful. All right, yeah.
Sir, I have one more question.
Yeah.
Ramesh, we can see that your background is completely empty today, or it's just blanked out, and we can see only your face. Is it a part of the presentation that your eye is gone or something on the line?
Wonderful, wonderful noticing that, Nitya. Yeah.
You are muted, Ramesh. You have to turn it on.
No, I was experimenting a bit with my backdrop, with my lighting, with my cameras and all that thing. It didn't come as what I wanted. So because the laptop camera is not really very high resolution, so I was using my mobile camera to stream. So and I was using a different lighting to get only the face lit and complete everything black. So that was what my inspiration was, but it not happened. So it not
It is
happened
happening.
as
But it is really happening.
It
Okay.
is happening. Yeah.
May
it
not
didn't
be up
happen
to
to
this
the.
level of perfection. All right.
Yeah, Ramesh, I was feeling I walked in very late towards the end of your presentation, but I've been mesmerized since. And when I looked at you, it almost appeared to me like a movie was going on and a celestial being is talking from the sky because there's no light around you. So it was really like that, like you were speaking from there and kind of guiding us. And of all your slides, I think I love this slide the most because this is worth a book in itself, and this is something which you must spread. The 10 principles of good learning, it's brilliant, and how you have woven in the experience of both the teacher and the student, and the last point, the memory of experience. That is so true, and you put it so beautifully because as a student, that's what you carry with you, the memory of a class, and that reinforces your learning. And I have seen so many taxonomies on learning. I have never come across something so true and so brilliant.
Yeah, that's what I also mentioned.
Thank you so much for this. This is lovely.
I have scanned a great lot of literature.
Not one.
Ramesh may not be clearly aware of what he has done because he is from a different field. This he created out of his originality of understanding everything. Starting with the initial argument, there was a great, one of the most influential thinker in educational reform, Ramesh, by name Margaret Mead. Then Abraham was like great lot of psychologists, great lot of thinkers, not only psychologists, philosophers, thinkers, and other educationists have tried to give it so many formats, so many guidelines, so many frameworks on education. But let me tell you, I am very different. This is a very comprehensive and highly original format, like Meenakshi mentioned, that we understand it better. Maybe Meenakshi understands it better because she is much more regular a teacher than I am. So, work. Just to give this diagram and explain every concept and its reference, that's all. Explain every concept, point number one. Narrate the referent of those concepts, and then you can write some joining statements. It will become maybe a 30, 40 page booklet. Beautiful. That's enough.
Sure, sir.
Yes, Ramesh. Because
Thanks, Meenakshi.
in most of the schools, we are still continuing to use what is called the Bloom's taxonomy. So Bloom's taxonomy. It's a very old model and it's outdated now. And I'm thinking that's nothing. This is so brilliant. You must take this to places and share it with schools because they're still stuck with the old models.
Okay.
I'm sure this will be appreciated. This will be very good. Please do that.
I have gone through Bloom's taxonomy, I think about 4 years back, and it's very complex to understand. I never knew that was the basis on which our current educational system was based on. I think this is more intuitive, right? We were trying.
That's why it's good. That's why it's good.
Yeah, thanks for the feedback, Meenakshi ji. Yeah. So yeah, the two schools which I'm working on, so they were very open to this, and yeah, again, it has to be developed on further. So basically, the idea thought process was the student comes with a different bias, the teacher comes with a different bias, unless there is a synergy that happens between the student and the teacher, where the teacher is in best of a delivery mode and the student is best on the receiving mode. When both is at its best is when the synergy happens. Till that point, your learning is not happening. Till that point, your teaching is not happening. So that synergy space is what I'm calling it as the experience space. And once that synergy happens, that is your memory. That remains as your memory of experience. So this is the thought process behind this particular framework.
Yeah, I think Ramesh, you exactly nailed it, because I found the Bloom's taxonomy very contrived, because we use it as a foundation for course design, in terms of writing the key objectives and the outcomes. So we follow the taxonomy to do this, and I've always found that it was a very contrived exercise, because it's given and written and developed only from the teacher's perspective and our expectation of what the student must do. But the beauty of your model is that you're combining both together and making it an experience where they are sharing the learning process in terms of giving and receiving. And that's what makes it so unique, so intuitive, and so effortless in even understanding it when compared to, a model which you have to force yourself to understand and replicate in your course outline.
Yeah, that was more force fitting, right? This is more interactive.
Yeah, that's why I called it contrived. That's why I called it contrived. But this is effortless and this is intuitive, and that's why we are able to relate to this so well. And yeah, so beautifully put.
So, like you were saying, Ramesh, this is a speck of hard carbon, which now you can polish and bring out as a diamond, as from your. I mean, it's already there. You just need to bring it out its own elegance.
Yeah, I think it's already a diamond. You just need to find a setting so that it shines and is presented to the world. Don't lock it in your cupboard.
Yeah.
Sure, definitely. Next.
Can you maybe do maybe a 3-minute or a 7-minute video on this and put it up? Would like to.
That's also a good idea. Make a 7 minutes video on this, just like that, and put it in the YouTube, and follow this methodology. Take each of these concepts, explain its concept sense, then go to its reference, and then interpret it. Finished. And there are so many journals now. Send it to one or two of the educational journals, and I'm very sure, I'm telling you, definitely journals have certain editorial policies and all that. I'm sure maximum what they may do is they will send you the document back asking for some suggestions, so that they will look at it from a reader's perspective most of the time. And especially editors are supposed to do something, therefore they will at least artificially make some pretensions and make slight changes here and there. So that is another assignment along with the Viali. Okay.
Yes, yeah, definitely, sir.
The Viali of education. All right. Okay. Okay.
Ramesh, I wanted to ask you one more thing.
Make it as a document of Viali of education for India and the dragon of education to Chinese.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right.
Ramesh, I want to ask, we are in the process of organizing a theatrical workshop for some students during the holidays. Can I use this slide as one of the, with reference to you, of course, can we use your this particular slide as for the students' benefit?
Yeah, should be okay. In terms of giving, so it's like you can definitely use. Yeah.
Thank
so
you.
It's like this has to get shared. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, it's very. I'm not in the teaching field yet, but it is very correlatable and easily can be explained and understood. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Ramesh ji, I want to add something. Sir,
Yeah, yeah.
certainly, yeah, Ramesh ji. Hello.
Uh, Hello. Yes, Naviji, I'm able to hear you. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay. Then, certainly, as usual, a very designer's perspective is quite evidenced in this very exhaustive and pictographic documentation of your learning tree, and it's simply brilliant. Congratulations for that. Even it needed lots of patience on even on my behalf to go completely in an attentive mode to discern all that what you have presented. And I think it will depends. It will need more and more time to thoroughly go into your the concepts of your presentations. What I want to add is coincidentally, sir wanted the learning from us, and coincidentally, you have counted the days, timings, and seconds of the sessions, and you have almost totally picturized the whole gestation period of this session. And as you have counted, this is 9 months and 27 days. I think this is another evidence that, and hope it will happen, that a new human baby has almost born within the every participants, and it is exactly the gestation period of in that period a human being is born. And I think we are delighted. Certainly we will all have a unique baby to all of us, and it will evolve to a much higher level, and it will be and it will grow to a whole human being. But I think the kind of evidence that you have presented, and coincidentally the kind of gestation, the period of gestation you have counted, I feel something that everybody is certainly feeling in being in that it's time to deliver, and almost everybody has delivered a new human baby within. Okay, that's the point. That's I am feeling by your presentation, not just me, but I have my own baby also, and I am delighted also. That's great, sir. And certainly, from the conceptual level of the session, you have gone to the delivery point, and evidences are coming.
Thank you,
And
thank you,
yeah.
thank you, Navinji. And regarding
Congratulations to
this,
you,
yeah,
congratulations to you, and congratulations to sir. Also, there's so many babies are likely to come.
yeah, yeah,
And
and I would also want to credit this particular teaching experiences to again Anandali and the kids, because the Anandali and the kids when because this is purely out of observation, and because I'm not sure, I have not read so much on the education models, Bloom psychology, and all that thing. So the way that they interact and when the learning happens with the kids is where we are really very curious as parents. So it doesn't happen. So how it happens at home is where it has to happen in the school also. So lots of these where Anandali kids, I want to credit to the complete thing. And we keep discussing about this particular thing in terms of imparting learning and so on at home. So yeah, I would also, yeah, at this moment, I want to bring them also. So, yeah, thanks. Yeah.
Okay.
so you are doing whatever you have written there.
Yeah, yeah,
You care for your
it's
family, you are giving credit to your family, and you have already done the presentation with the concept of perfection you always talked about. Starting counting even the time duration of the entire program, starting with the starting date and the dates of sessions and all that. It's absolute perfection. But I just wanted to tell you that perfection is okay, but you can also try to replace, you can reflect upon a concept of completeness. What you have done is completeness. Perfection is a very vague, generic term. Something is perfect maybe because it is complete and elegant and correct. So, Nothing wrong. Perfection is a term that is comprehensible to the majority, but completeness can convey a lot to the audience. How I will achieve complete perfection? If somebody asks you, you can give points by achieving completeness. How to achieve completeness? It is very clear. Start from the beginning to the end of whatever is available. That is called completeness. So the completeness of a tree starts with the seed going, the roots going down, and the branches going up. That is completeness. So completeness is a beautiful concept. We can perhaps think about replacing the concept of perfection with completeness. That's all. And that is the Rigvedic term also. Purnat Purna Mudichyate. From completeness arises completeness. Completeness here and there, and so on and so forth. All right. Wonderful, Ramesh.
Yeah. Thank you, sir.
So, all right.
Master, I had one point to make. Ramesh, this is a request from my end. I wish you're not so self-critical about yourself. I request you to be kinder to yourself.
Okay.
Tone down that bit a little, because somehow when you went to that slide, I could almost feel that pain in being self-critical. Probably that is something which has constantly pushed you to get better and better. But somehow I feel you are at a point where you can be more accepting of yourself and a little less self-critical.
Thanks for that feedback, Meenakshi ji. But yeah, so looking at, earlier there used to be lots of comparative things which has creeped into me. But now, like what I was saying, I am not looking at outside at all. So in terms of, so it's only the benchmarks are only within. So earlier the benchmarks I was comparing with people, but now I'm not looking at from that perspective. So if this being can do more is where I'm getting that critical aspect, but I understand you. But I fully now all these frameworks and so on, like some of these I have a few more also, but I am fully with the sir and with Tintin, Meenakshi ji, with all of you, that these have to see the light of the day. So that is where one topic which I also have put in my thing in terms of showing. So, but knowing, being, doing, that showing part is where I also felt that whatever is this being has created should see the light of the day, because it cannot be with a certain smaller crowd, 30, 40 people or 60 people or 100 people. But if this can get shown, is where another activity is where I need to start focusing on. Yeah, thanks for that feedback, Meenakshi ji. Yeah, but the critical aspects, I am not very sure about that, but yeah, thank you. I'll definitely keep that in mind. Yeah.
Ramesh, you should be called a super genius. Genius will not define you. You can't be trapped by boundaries of genius. You're super
You have
genius.
to have a Samasanjanam there also. You have to be self-critical. Everybody is capable of criticizing or being critical about other people. To be self-critical is one of the most powerful competency, one of the most complex competency, one of the least easy competency. It's not at all easy to be self-critical. Not at all. It is not the self-criticism which perhaps means it happened to me, I am not good. Not that self-critical. That is not self-criticism. It's a self-pity. So self-critical meaning creative, critical, like he said, tearing apart of oneself to see which way, applying the engine of reflection and to see how the next step is possible. So that self-criticism, without that, as I told you, one of the characteristics of all geniuses is that capability to be self-critical. It is not self-blaming. No. It is not blaming oneself. Oh, I am not able to do that, therefore I could not, I'm a failure, or they're feeling tension and anxiety about not doing something on time, etc., etc. That self-criticism may be happening with a lot of people. A lot of people even say, my life is a complete failure and all that, as if it is a result of self-criticism. No, no, that is not self-criticism. That is it is called some self-pity. Self-criticism is always positive, like identifying what is required, what is not required, what is to be eliminated, what is to be accepted. That is the real referent of self-criticism. Like so vimarsha purushartha. That's what we mentioned last time. What is vimarsha? Criticism. So vimarsha purushartha. That which gives meaning to that which is formed as an expression of Isha, that means Purusha, is Swavimarsha, which I don't even 0.001% of people are even aware of. And the one who guides Swavimarsha is the Guru. So, Vimarsha. So Vimarsha is one of the most important requirement, I would say, every one of you must develop. Because most of the thing we take as positive of ours and feel good about it, when we analyze it, we must find many fallacies in that. Okay? So I want every one of you to be masters in Swavimarsa. Actually, masters in Swavimarsa. Okay, exactly 3 hours. It is a very well planned presentation. Also, I think by the time of presentation, a complex set of concepts and concept senses were clarified and brilliant. In fact, you can even be a small kind of a trainer in the art of presentation, PowerPoint presentation.
Right, sir.
How to conceptualize
Yes, sir.
a series of ideas, especially how to what you call divide concepts and sequence them and place them into the slides. So, a very masterly use of the method of PowerPoint presentation also, Ramesh. Wonderful.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Also, sir, Ramesh has been using the word multiple. The word multiple is always used by him multiple times.
Yeah, there were
So-
multiple times when he used the word multiple, of course.
Yes, yeah. So the multiple areas which he applied is really unbelievable, you know. So not whatever areas he applied everywhere.
That's
So,
beautiful because he's, look at his position, look at his
Yes.
background, look at his
Yes.
family, look at his work. He spent
Yes.
5 hours on this today.
today, yes.
What is it? Yeah, that is absolutely, let me say, incredible, Ramesh, incredible. For what, actually? This is that self-completeness. Whatever you do it complete. For nothing, just like that. Like the trees, that is Purna Mudichyade. Not for anything. Because it is complete, whatever it does is complete. That's all. Even if you have done it without this kind of a format, you would have talked the same thing. It will be more or less the same. But that is your beauty. That is your genius. To spend that 5 hours. And that too, if I spend 5 hours, I can understand. I don't know anything else. But you spend 5 hours, meaning it is marvelous, Ramesh. It is wonderful. It is great. That is your genius. That is your will. So, whatever you have done, whatever you have explained, they're all in correlation with your being. You have achieved that samasanjanam of your knowing and doing and being as of now. And when more janma happening, you may have to little again do that sama equalization. So randomness, structure, randomness, structure, randomness, structure. Every new input creates a little bit of randomness or disturbance, you put a structure. Again, new thing coming, you put a structure. That's what entire universe is. That's what every tree is. That's what every cell of the being, the body is doing. Brilliant.
Yeah. Thank you, sir.
Of course.
Yeah, that randomness and structure again. That's again a huge, big amount of learning, sir. Because I was not in terms with that at all. I was not terms in terms of that randomness. Also, I was not in terms. That structuring also something monotonous. It becomes a bit monotonous. So when something is monotonous, I completely avoid it earlier. So I want to try out something new. So when I want to try something new, it always used to be random. So I was not in terms with that. So that randomness and structure, putting it together like that also is a good amount of learning in terms of
That's an
both is
example.
required.
Yeah.
Both
That's
is
an
required.
example of Samasanjanam, Nitya. All right. Okay.
I think the problem with many people is that you fall into either of those buckets of behaviors. Either you're totally random and eccentric, or you're too rigid.
Exactly. This is what, if you remember, when I talked about the highly researched conclusions of the qualities of geniuses, most common, right, at that day, I displayed the commonest characteristics of creative people. One of them, if you remember, the ability to bring opposites into a whole, like a Tintin just now mentioned, the so-called opposites into summum, into equalization. That's why the entire world is not capable of that. That's why all the conflicts. That's why all the religious conflicts or political conflicts or everything. They are not able to. They want to belong to one. Exactly. Yes. Yes, Tintin. Right. All right. 10:30, and the
Thank you.
closed down appropriately. Anything else? Vinay is thinking something. What is your question, Vinay? You have some question?
Uh, no, sir. I was just thinking about the sentence as you said before that I mean combining or bridging the polarities
Yeah.
together.
Yeah. Rather,
I was just thinking.
for a genius, polarities just does not exist. The words, by its meanings and consonants, may look different poles. That's all. But the genius who is always in tune with the referent realities of the universe, there is no polarity.
So can you
There's,
give an example, sir?
in the universe, there is no polarity. Vina is a human logic of perception. For example, in the daytime, you can see all the trees and every blade of grass. In the nighttime, we cannot see. Therefore, we feel incapable of managing it. We are in an uncomfortable zone. So, we see a divide between the daytime and the nighttime. It is the work of our logic. That's all. But in the universe, there is no difference between light or dark. It is just a process, ongoing process. That's all.
Okay, sir.
That's all. All this division, so-called division, is the contribution of our logic. That's the theory of Shankara also. Advaita, there is no two. Dvaita meaning two or more. So people see two or more. Everybody is different. The so-called black is different from the white. The West is different from the East. The Chinese is different from this. All these differences are perceived. They are all Dvaitam, divided. So there is everything is the same. Advaitam. So in Advaitam, there is no polarity. Dvaitam, the two is the opposites. Dvaitam, the two. So there is no two. All are one. That only the genius himself, the genius individual could see that oneness. That's all.
So I have a question.
Yeah.
Sir, in Bhagavad Gita, when Krishna was convincing or educating Arjuna, in the beginning they were at different poles. So, from the understanding of Krishna, there was no or there were no polarities. So, with that understanding, he is merging that gap. Is it that way?
That also, that you can find any examples. Like, of course, that was mentioned here in one of the slides also. Like it starts from emptiness, it goes around and it comes back to emptiness. And I thought when I was about to talk about the polarity of action and non-action mentioned by the great trainer Krishna. In your action, there can be non-action also. In your non-action, there can be action also. I thought you were about to say that. All right. And we'll have some sessions explaining the complex, if at all complex. I don't think anything will be complex for you in the future because you have experimented with referent perception, conscious sense. You can understand, I would say, almost anything. Test it out. Okay. But now,
Sir,
yeah,
and a few words on Ramesh's presentation. It was huge, really huge. As always, we can experience from you, from the design part, and I was thinking about the referent part of your presentation, and I can't even imagine the
exactly,
referent
exactly,
reality part of your
exactly.
understanding.
The reference.
It was just a tip of the iceberg from my point of view, and from the depth you created, that tip of the iceberg is um, I'm trying to imagine, I'm trying to identify, I'm trying to feel that it's just a capsule of whatever sir expressed, or whatever sir educated us, and from that you created your own theories from that. I missed a few parts due to one or two phone calls. Um, Massive, really massive. Thank you, Ramesh, and thank you, sir, for being, for being myself uh, part of this session.
Wonderful. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Ramesh.
Mantra Rishika, why don't you make a review?
Uh, about the presentation, I don't have like anything to say because all of you have already told that, and Rameshji, as always, his presentation is classic. And something that I understood after this presentation is that uh, about the training part, whatever Swami has trained us in, how we see it and how we perceive it and how we understand it creates multiple differences. And I didn't even know that this was possible. I was just wondering how your brain is working and how such complex ideas have been portrayed in such a simple way. And I'm just, there is nothing that I can say. I'm really, really privileged to be a part of this. Even at this young age, while other girls and boys of my age are doing nothing, I'm I'm so um, lucky to be here and know that these kind of people exist and there are these kind of possibilities. I'm having goosebumps while talking about this. And you are a really really an inspiration for me. And whenever I try to be lazy, I'll always keep you in mind. Um,
Uh,
thank you, Ramesh.
Mantra and Ameya, both of you are always there in my mind whenever I'm making these presentations. Ameya's that poetry is always so. Today also, when I was running through this, Ameya's poetry and your artworks, so those were running through in the flash of my mind when I was doing a recap on the learning experiences. So thanks, Ameya and Mantra, also for really
Thank you.
inspiring us and to see, okay, at this engage when you people are able to do, so it again speeds up our process. Thank you.
I have to thank you, Ramesh. Thank you so much.
Okay, Parvati.
Come right.
Presentation as usual, beautiful and eye-catching. And I could see a lot of conviction when you spoke the complete journey. You spoke with a lot of energy, and that energy, I think, came from your complete conviction and experiences that you were going through or you are going through now. As Vinay said, I was also trying to get a referent of whatever you were saying, right from knowing to your climbing. Yes, so could relate to some of them, not all. Yes, but I also have. I was also experiencing a movie effect for 2 hours, and that was really engaging. And I really believe that it was possible to capture everyone's attention, just because it was very genuine, and you were narrating your experiences with lots of conviction. So. Thanks for sharing, and thanks for being very open. So great, great journey.
Thanks, Parvati. So this again, again, what I was trying to do here is I was trying to again that reflection process and observation of self is what I was trying to document. So being truthful and being observational and being documenting. That is what happened in today's exercise.
Yeah. So every point you have reflected your journey, and that is amazing. You have not missed out on anything, and that also shows your sensitivity. That's also really nice.
Of course, Paudi, he was so free and cool even to talk about Anandavalli Shastra.
Yeah.
There on, you may not know Paudi because Anandavalli is his wife, and you must have understood it. It was
Yeah,
so cool,
understood.
so, as you said, so genuine, just cool. He wanted to say something and he said it. Beautiful. Absolutely brilliant. Absolutely truthful. Yes, Amay Rajarshi, would you like to say something?
Yeah. Uh, can you turn off your mic? It's, yeah. So, Rameshji, something that you made me aware of is that that just learning is not what has to be done. That is, you learn and then you have to give. Only then the learning process is complete. So actually, what I understood from your presentation, which is it's really great, that is, you have done the real learning process. You have completed your learning process. That is, I mean, learning process here. That is, you started learning. You conquer that concepts, and you're giving back something for the other people to learn from. So you reached an I would use a metaphor of a hilltop, and you're giving people who are below the things on top. So I think that's a very great thing to do. Yeah. So thank you so much, Messi.
Thank you, Amaya. So in terms of getting to peace, no, I always you are my inspiration in terms of that calmness and be at peace. So I always look up onto you, and that getting to that hilltop, that is not what my visualization, because it's always been since with respect to work. At home it's a bit different, but at work it's normally I'm more of a people person, and whoever higher up or bottom down, everyone are at equal. So my energies comes from my surroundings. So the people around me is where I borrow that energy, and I again give back that energy. It's again the I part of it removing, and that giving also multiplied when a unconditional giving started happening. So yeah, thanks for bringing that point, Amaya.
Thank you, Messi. Thank you so much.
Okay, Ashwati.
Hello, Ramesh ji. I am so mesmerized by your presentation. You are evidence of the session actually, and you are the referent of genius in self. So, to understand, we can now just look at you, and the vague concept of the word has disappeared now from the evidence that you have given us. And you have slowed down the entire process of your evolution so much that you have gone into the referent and the realities of yourself also. And I think the detachment is the main learning that I have had from this entire thing, because I think now I understand better that that central axle which connects to nothingness of the wheel, so that detachment is very evident in how what you have done, and it's marvelous. Thank you, Ramesh ji, for such a wonderful, insightful presentation.
Okay. Wonderful reviews made by every one of you. Okay, Ramesh can respond. Yes.
Yeah. Thanks, Ashwati, for that comment. So basically, that the detachment is I'm not sure whether I am fully detached. That past and present, that past completely I got detached, but that future, that detachment is still holding on. That is getting into a bit of fear. So still I am trying to figure out how to get past that fear also. So if so that's where the loop is getting in. But the past detachment has really removed my excess baggage, because there were both failures and successes. So that point, and again, Ashwati has always been my inspiration in terms of getting to that fineness of details, that getting organized, and in terms of recording the sessions, putting it together. And when I'm miss some sessions, I contact her to get her the things. So I always feel that. That's what I'm saying. The energies comes from you. So thanks, Ashwati. Yeah.
All right.
So one more point, when you started, you said about the speed with which Ramesh speaks. I think today he was so much in control of his speech, and I could really feel the difference between the previous presentations, because today it was so, not that much slow, but it is so much convincing, and it's so much understandable for me. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, very true. Okay. All right. Thank you, everyone. Everyone else, of course, because it requires clear concern and caring and giving and what you call most of those attributes on the part of everybody else to be present and to be genuinely listening to what Ramesh said. Wonderful, every one of you, to spend more than 3 hours of time listening to Ramesh. Beautiful. That itself is a great indication of the geniusness in you. Geniusness in you manifested in the capacity of your listening with keen attention to what Ramesh said. Brilliant. I appreciate and I congratulate every one of you. Pavadi, Tintin, Vinay, Ashwati, Naveen, especially, because he is in the midst of a great official confusion, because election and things like that. His Chief Minister's office, a lot of confusion. Then Mandra and Avina, of course, throughout present. And Meenakshi, particularly, it was a very particularly hectic day for her, because today was her first meeting of the State Planning Board. And in the very first meeting itself, she was selected as one of the core committee members in charge of something. Then she had a full day of interview. So it was definitely tedious for her. And again, she had to cook everything. So after the tedious session, she was feeling really sleepy or tired. But she also attended. I appreciate her for that. And I feel so good about every one of you. I am so proud about me that I can see every one of you at 10:44 today. You will all become wonderful. That is for sure. No doubt about that. With all the best wishes on behalf of the genius of the universe. Good night.
Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot,
Good
sir.
night.
Thank you all.
Thank
Bye,
you,
Thanks
Ramesh.
all.
Wonderfully, Ramesh.
Thank you.
Congratulations to you, Ramesh.
Yeah, well
Thank
done,
you.
Ramesh ji. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Ramesh
Thank
ji.
you, everyone. Yeah.
Good night.
Bye.
Good
Good
night.
night. Good night.
Good night.
Good night, all. Good night, all. Thank you, sir.